from Chicago and the Philippines. A comprehensive review of the week's special community events, featuring many exciting personalities, handled by the most professional Chicago Philippine Reports TV staff.
Philippine health authorities confirmed the local transmission of the Delta COVID variant some 8 days after the country detected its first local cases. A dozen more cases were found Thursday, bringing the Philippines' total Delta infections to 47. Of the 12, 4 are in the National Capital Region, specifically 2 in Pasig City and 1 each in the cities of Manila and Taguig. The lone case in Manila is a female who had already recovered as of July 10th. She and other family members have recently tested negative. The other cases include 6 in Bataan Province and 2 members of a household in the Laguna city of Calamba.
Mag-ama yun, mag-ama. So, yung 29-year-old son of the 58-year-old. And then the one who died is the wife of the 58-year-old, yung nanay. Kaya sabi ko nga, i-dig deeper, baka naman merong bumusita sa kanilang galing abroad o meron silang nakasalamuha even within the grocery or the pharmacy na kakilala na galing abroad din.
Some of the infections were brought into a household by working members of a family. Others were infected while attending a wake.
Ito pong ating cluster of infection na isa dito sa mga may Delta variant, nakitaan natin na meron pong isang kapamilya nila na nagtatrabaho sa isang lugar at umuwi sa kanilang pwesto at doon po ay sila po ay nagkaroon ng pagkakahawa-hawa. So nagkaroon din po tayo ng isang returning overseas Filipino na umuwi dito dahil namatay ang kanyang nanay. And pagkatapos po noon, yung nanay niya, best friend po yung asawa nung nagkaroon naman ng sakit doon sa isang lugar dito sa ating bansa. At nung umattend ng wake po yung asawa nung nagkasakit, doon po nag-umpisa uli ang cluster of infection dito sa lugar na to.
The confirmation of locally transmitted Delta cases coincides with a noticeable increase in COVID infections across the country. Over 6,800 new cases were recorded Friday, bringing the active cases to over 55,000. But health officials dispute the belief of a local research group that this is already indicative of a new surge.
Wala pa ho tayong nakikita ngayon that objective basis that we will be announcing that there is already this surge. Let us try to go back to the definition of a surge. So kailangan lang po natin maging maingat sa pagbibigay ng impormasyon sa ating mga kababayan dahil sa ngayon po takot na yung ating mga kababayan, huwag na ho nating dagdagan.
As COVID cases rise, local governments are being advised to prepare for the worst if the Delta variant spreads. The mayor of Manila says local officials must be updated immediately if Delta infections are detected in their area.
And hopefully, wag naman umabot ng 1 buwan bago impormahan ng mga local government. No? So, para na sa ganoon magawa ng mga local government yung dapat nilang gawin. But be that as it may, so far okay tayo. Okay? So, wag mataranta. Dapat katakutan, yung takot gagamitin natin para sa pag-iingat. No? Oo.
To stop the spread of the more contagious Delta COVID-19 variant, Metro Manila and 4 other provinces are now placed under general community quarantine with heightened restrictions until month end. The provinces include Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Davao de Oro, and Davao del Norte. The heightened restrictions mean operational capacity for restaurant dine-in and personal care services such as salons, parlors, and beauty clinics will be reduced to 20 to 30% from the current 50%. For religious gatherings, only 10% venue capacity will be allowed, but local government units can increase it to 30%. Children aged 5 years old and above are again prohibited from going outdoors. Health Secretary Francisco Duque said this will be enforced for 1 or 2 weeks, after which it will be re-evaluated.
Hindi na muna natin papayagan sa ngayon, so para lang makasiguro tayo, dito na nga dahil nagkaroon na tayo ng Delta variant, nagkaisang IATF na i-atras muna itong resolution na ito.
Meanwhile, Davao del Sur will be placed under regular GCQ. In Ilocos Norte, additional areas will be placed under localized MECQ due to increasing cases of COVID-19. On border control, the Philippine government now includes Malaysia and Thailand among countries that will have travel restrictions beginning July 25 until 31, 2021 as a precaution against the Delta variant. Filipinos who will be included in repatriation and special commercial flights will be exempted from the travel ban.
Lahat po ng nakatransit na po or papunta na ng Pilipinas, no? At lahat po na darating ng 14 days immediately preceding the arrival of the Philippines pero bago po ng 12:01 of July 25, 2021 ay po pwede pa rin pong makapasok sa bansa pero subject to full 14-day facility quarantine notwithstanding po kung negatibo ang kanilang RT-PCR results.
The IATF also revised some guidelines for green lanes for fully vaccinated international arriving passengers starting July 26, 2021. For those coming from countries in the green list, they have to undergo 7-day facility-based quarantine and RT-PCR test on the 5th day.
Now, kinakailangan po lahat ng pasahero galing po sa green list countries ay magpakita ng unang-una na ang pinanggalingan po nila ay green list country, jurisdiction or territory, na sila po ay nanatili exclusively doon sa mga green list countries at mga jurisdiction sa nakalipas na 14 na araw bago po sila dumating sa Pilipinas at sila po ay fully vaccinated whether in the Philippines or abroad.
Passengers coming from countries not included in the green list, on the other hand, will have to go through a 10-day facility-based quarantine and another 4-day home quarantine. They also have to undergo the RT-PCR test on the 7th day of arrival. All arriving passengers have to present proof of their vaccination status, and this has to be validated upon entry.
Meanwhile, lahat po ng mga pasahero kay Pilipino or dayuhan na nagtatransit po sa non-green list country, jurisdiction or territory shall not be deemed as having come from having been to the said country, jurisdiction or territory. Ibig sabihin, hindi naman po silang tatratuhin na parang sila ay nanggaling sa isang non-green country kung sila po ay nagtatransit doon lamang.
Vaccine certificates from health authorities abroad or vaccine certification from Philippine Overseas Labor Offices will be honored. For OFWs who were vaccinated in the Philippines, they can present the original copy of their vaccination card issued by either their LGU or hospital. A vaccine certification from the LGU will also be accepted. President Duterte will meet with IATF members on Saturday to discuss further the added measures needed to prevent the spread of the Delta variant in the country.
ViaTimes, vital news, vibrant views for the Filipino Asian communities in Chicago. ViaTimes for your most interesting and exciting reading and your party coverages. ViaTime has very interesting columnists. You name it, ViaTimes has it. Law, Filipino news, dentistry, immigration, humor, serious opinions, health, beauty, mysticism, Bata Corner, showbiz, and intelligently written editorials. Call ViaTimes at 773-866-0811.
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, I have a very, oh my God, I really don't know. I feel lucky to interview this lady from Washington, D.C., and she's a very popular congresswoman from the 9th District of Illinois, Miss JAN SCHAKOWSKY, our very busy, efficient, and diligent congresswoman. And she has been serving our district since 1999, am I right?
That's correct.
That has been a long time. And
yes,
here today to update us on what's going on, most importantly, about the child credit payment that will be starting monthly for some families out there. I congratulate them to those who are who really are qualified to receive this payment. Ms. SCHAKOWSKY, good morning.
And good morning.
Please please update your constituents, most of all. We're under your constituency and about this child payment, our monthly payment.
Well, I am so grateful to you for letting me pass the good news about the child tax credit. Honestly, I think this is a real game changer for families. Families that have been struggling to make ends meet, but also middle-class families who want to maybe start a college, to put a college fund together for their children. So here's how it goes. The child tax credit says that families who together, a man and a father and a mother, have $150,000 or less, or a household headed by one person who makes $112,500 a year, are eligible for this tax credit. How much? It means that on the 15th of every month till the end of the year, for children under 6 years old, no matter how many there are in your family under 6 years old, you get a check for $300 on the 15th of every month till the end of the year. If it's a child up to between 6 and 17 years old, you will get $250,000 per child. $250 per child. So this is, going to mean so much to so many families. It could, put more nutritious food on the table. You can pay your rent. You can buy diapers for the baby. And so that if you are getting a direct deposit, you probably got that check for July. If you have not, you can go to childtaxcredit.org. I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Let me say that again. It's childtaxcredit.gov, G-O-V. And you can make sure how you can get that money and how get that check. Couple of important things. The child tax credit doesn't interfere with any of the other benefits you may get. For example, if you're on the SNAP program, the food program, you'll still get that. And any benefit that you get from the government, you're still going to get in addition to the child's tax credit. Another important message for parents who may not be documented, but who have children who are citizens of the United States, you can get the tax credit. You can get that money. So what you have to make sure, though, is that your children have the children need to have what, I'm talking to Miguel, that the children have to have a social security number. Make sure your children have a social security number and that you have this ITIN number. And even if you as a parent are undocumented, your citizen children are eligible. So this is very broad and it is going to help so many people. In my district alone, 70% of the children will be able to get that child tax credit.
Until when would they be getting this?
Okay, so this is July, August, September, October, November, December. But be sure that in the Congress, we are trying to extend that or to make it permanent. But right now, it's through December 15th will be, right now, it's the last payment, but hopefully we're going to be able to make it longer.
About the qualification for parents, like, for example, if a parent was making so much money, uh, to qualify for this. But as one or not even both, just one of the parents got laid off, are unemployed, would they qualify? What are the necessary documents needed?
Well, that's why I think it's important to have that childtaxcredit.gov so that you can find out. And the other people that ought to call, if you have had a child this year, you have a baby right now, you have a toddler right now, maybe 4 or 5 months old, you want to call and make sure that then you will be able to get that tax credit as well. So that is, I think, the best resource right now is to go to childtaxcredit.gov and to ask all those questions. Now, we are also saying, if you're in the 9th district, call my office and we will help you make sure to get it.
Is your office, when you're in Washington, D.C., fully staffed when you're not here?
Oh, yes, we are fully staffed in the district and in Washington, D.C. So we can answer all kinds of questions. But this is huge. This is something that actually will lift children out of poverty in the United States of America and are going to help so many families. 60 million families, it's estimated, will benefit in the United States from this child tax credit.
But this is only until the end of the year, right? Just like what you said, that they can do this until the end of the year, from this month until December.
Every month. Now, if you decide that you don't want to get it all up front every month, you'd rather just have it at the end of the year to deduct from your taxes, you can call and make that happen too. But I think most people want to see that check arrive at home on the 15th of every month.
I see. Wow, that's very interesting. That if I were a parent, a school child, but I am not right now. I think this is really so exciting for those who qualify.
It's huge. It really is. Finally, I think, I think a lot of people in this country think that tax breaks always seem to go to the rich. This one is for the middle class and working families, and is really going to be a big deal and a big change in their lives.
Great, terrific. And they just have to go to the childtaxcredit.gov.
G-O-V.
G-O-V. All right, very good. Miss Congresswoman, can you please, before we sign off, can you please tell our viewing audience what other projects are you working on for your constituents?
Well, there are so many issues that we've been working on, but one has been to make sure that we are addressing the problem, especially during COVID, of the hate crimes that we saw for the Asian community, and that we make sure that we pass legislation that assures that those attacks are addressed as criminality, and that we make sure that we protect, so many different communities now are being attacked, but we have never seen anything like it before in the Asian American community. And we want to make sure that we address that very clearly without any, and end that discrimination. And I know that people, on the street have been attacked when they go into restaurants. We've heard of people who are being attacked. We've seen it on television, and we don't want any people in our community, which we're so proud of, the various Asian communities, including the Filipino community, to not be discriminated against.
Great, terrific. I want to congratulate you. You've done so much for our Asian American community in your district here in Illinois, and I thank you for that. You're really a very popular lady among us, and I really salute you. And thank you so much for gracing our show today. And I hope to see you back here one of these days when you're not working in Washington, D.C.
Right, and I would love to be on with you, and hopefully with more good news about our economy and our families.
Yes, please update us, and bye. Maraming salamat. Thank you in our language, and mabuhay.
Thank you.
Yan! Dito na! Perfect!
Magandang hapon po sa inyo lahat, and welcome to Veronica's segment of the show. Today, my very interesting guest is an author of a book that really a combination of a memoir and really historical about the Vietnam War. Very, very interesting. That was 50, almost or more than 50 years ago, the Vietnam War. And help me welcome my very interesting guest, Mr. Wayne Farren Jr. from Las Vegas. Welcome to our show, Wayne.
Thank you, Veronica. It's an honor to be here. I very much appreciate the opportunity.
And all right, how's the weather there? And
the weather's delightful. It will be in the low hundreds this day, sunny and a little breezy, and it's always pretty fabulous if you enjoy the warmer weather.
Well, I would love to tell you that we also have a very beautiful weather now in Chicago. Cold, really very cold Chicago is now enjoying our really hot summer. Okay, Wayne, the title of your book is quite a mouthful. Let me read it. Wayne is the author of Conscientious Objector, A Peaceful Fight to End War. And Wayne shares the stories of two men with profoundly different consequences from their choices during the Vietnam War. It will be very interesting to hear from the author's book about this very interesting topic that he wrote about. Welcome to our show, Wayne.
Thank you. Yes, the conscientious objector is someone who refuses to fight in wars because of their beliefs, and that is the position I took during the Vietnam War. The subtitle is A Journey of Peace, Justice, Culture, and Environment, which kind of portrays the depth and the multifaceted aspects of the time. So my memoir is in the context of a lot of other activities in addition to objecting to war, and the life of other young men who are associates, friends, or others who I discovered along the way who were challenged also by the draft and participating in war.
As a young man and a draftee to serve for your country at the time, were you already a conscientious objector?
It's an evolution process. As I was growing up, I was trained to hunt animals, and I refused eventually to do that. I was always against capital punishment, and I felt very much abhorrent of war. Through college, I was trained in science and became less influenced by Christianity, my background, and more influenced by ecology, the global energy associated with life, and the respect for all living things. And so, like many young people, we are eventually challenged in our beliefs. And so when I was graduating from college, I happened to have a low lottery number. And folks may not know back then that the lottery that was approved by Congress and signed by the president required your birth date and your number that would include when you'd be drafted to be pulled out of these glass containers. And it was on television. And so my number for my birth date was 141. And 141 for 1970 was within the range of people who would be drafted. And so upon graduation, which I had an education deferment as a student at Rutgers, you would then be immediately drafted unless you enroll in enlisted. And so I filled out the forms that are allowed for conscientious objectors to apply for that classification, someone who could do alternative civilian service. And that is, I didn't object to serving my country. I objected to going to war and killing people and destroying ecosystems. And so I was confronted then by having to apply for this and then meet with my draft board and answer their questions and explain myself and see whether or not they'd approve my standing, in which case I would serve alternative civilian service as a draftee.
Okay, this phase of your life, which happened 50 years ago or more, has really influenced your current life. And that was the reason you wrote about this book, right, Wayne?
Yes, very much. Of course, it is 50 years ago when this happened, and many people are writing these kind of recollections and reflections. But I really started the book because I was haunted by a duality. I discovered on the internet in the early 2000s another Wayne Farron, Jerry Wayne Farron, unrelated, who at 19 was killed in Vietnam as a teenager fighting for this country, the father of a child he never met. And so here we have a haunting duality of two men born the same year, only 3 months apart, one enlisting before graduation from high school and being killed when his plane was shot down upon attempted landing in Quezon. 8 men were killed in the process. And Jerry Wayne Farron died from his burns in Texas in the hospital. This accident occurred February 10th, 1968. And all of that was unbeknownst to me until I discovered when some friends said, Wayne, you should check your name on the internet. You know, there's a lot of stuff there about you. I said, well, you know, I've been involved in science and, you know, if you publish something, it's going to be there. But it was earlier in the days of the web and, you know, I wasn't paying much attention. So one day I did check, and on the very first page of my name was Panel 42, Vietnam War Memorial. Well, of course, that is shocking to see your name listed in a war memorial when you're live, healthy, and have had a successful life. And what does it mean? Well, that's how I discovered Jerry Wayne Farron in his life. And the plane he was on, he was not supposed to be on. Another young man was recruited for an office job and did not join the flight. And Jerry Wayne Farron was put on the plane as an engineer. And it, interestingly enough, was covered by Life magazine because a photographer was there. So one of the pictures in my book is his plane sitting on the runway burning, taken by the Life photographer on February 10th, 1968. Very tragic, very haunting, the duality of two Wayne Farrons in the situation. And one a conscientious objector and one who went to war to serve the country.
Isn't that really very interesting and quite unbelievable that there would be two names under the circumstances at the time, two Wayne Farrons almost the same age, the same birthday, and serving at the same time for the country, but with different philosophies in life. Yeah, wow. And that how many books, how many chapters in your book you have devoted to another Wayne Ferran?
Well, there's not much of information available about him. I was able to contact a cousin who provided some information, but he was very young. There wasn't much information available. And I do discuss his service and the activities that we were able to uncover about him. My book focuses partly on my early life and then leading up to Vietnam and the war. I include a whole chapter on the natural history, ecology, and diversity and wonderful things about Vietnam, because a lot of people are just unfamiliar with the incredible wealth of resources and diversity of people who are there. I then include a chapter on the wars, and Vietnam War, from my perspective, I think was important to explain, is really about resources, the extraction of resources, colonialism, and the bigotry and other elements of Western culture on a people. And it was less about communism and more about colonialism and the obtaining of resources. And so my interpretation of the war has to be done in the context of why we should not be there. And Jerry Wayne Ferran's death, along with 50,000+ others, and those who have subsequently committed suicide over this, are a tragic reminder, as well as the thousands of Vietnamese who were killed over a war that should have never been fought. And Jerry Wayne Ferran, I think I wanted to honor him and his role, and in comparison to my life. And so I do the best I can to respect him and other young men who were in that situation. Now, another friend of mine, John Braxton, in the book, a Quaker and conscientious objector, refused to participate as in alternate service as I did, you see. And so John went to federal prison for 16 months for his beliefs. So there are different outcomes. John is a successful teacher and union organizer today. I've had a long and successful career. We both have families. Jerry Wayne Ferran died as a teenager and a father of a child we never met. And I think these stories are important to tell the consequences of war, in addition to the devastation of the landscape, the ecology, and culture that happens even today in war. And so this is an example of that, and why all of these reasons why war should not be fought. There have to be other avenues. And I wanted to provide the example of these young men, and through their stories, what happened 50 years ago.
All right, great, terrific. Wayne, can you please tell our viewing audience where to get a copy of your book?
Yes, the book can be purchased from the publisher, Archway Publishing, or on Amazon, or Barnes & Noble, or quite a few other bookstores now that list it online. It's available in hard copy, soft copy, and digital. And some of the information can be obtained through my website at WayneRFerranJr.com.
Great, terrific. Wayne, I really enjoyed interviewing you today and talk about your book, a very interesting book, A Conscientious Objector, Mr. Wayne Ferran Jr. And it is going to be very interesting if you get a copy of his book and read about all the other characters that he was talking about. And that happened 50 years ago, right?
Yes, and more within the 55 to 50 years ago. Mm-hmm.
It will be nice to have Hollywood discover your story.
Yes, well, I think there is an important story. There's an important story to tell, and I think certainly there could be a play and a movie out of the important tale of young men confronted with war.
Correct.
And today, young women. So, today's situation is different and broader, and so it now includes actually all of humanity.
Great, terrific. I thank you for gracing our show today. In our language, maraming salamat, Wayne, for gracing our show. We speak English, Tagalog English, and just keep in touch with us about the outcome of your book. If you have, and also if you have another project in the future in your writings. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I enjoyed speaking with you. It was wonderful.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
We would like to welcome all of you to Baladna Jewelry. We have a very big selection of 21 karat gold jewelry imported from the Middle East, from Dubai, Saudi, and Bahrain. And we have a very big selection of diamond. We offer free financing for 6 months, and we have a layaway system which you can leave your stuff for 3 months. We repair gold and we buy old gold. Welcome to Baladna Jewelry.
Salamat po.
Good afternoon. This is Brigitte, Carino, Cueter, bringing you this week's local news from our community. 4 parents are filing a lawsuit against the District of Columbia over their children's ability to authorize medical professionals to administer vaccines without their parental consent. The parents are being legally represented by the Children's Health Defense and the Parental Rights Foundation. The law allows children 11 years of age and older to take any vaccines, including COVID-19 vaccines, without parents' consent or knowledge, if the vaccine has been recommended by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, ACIP, and the child is capable of meeting the informed consent standard, the Epoch Times reported. A minor shall be deemed to meet the informed consent standard if the minor is able to comprehend the need for, the nature of, and any significant risks ordinarily inherent in the medical care, the law says. The complaint says the law is placing that decision-making squarely in the hands of the government. The law is reckless, unconstitutional, and needlessly endangers children's lives by stripping away parental protection and the protection of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986, CHD President and General Counsel Mary Highland said. The Illinois Department of Transportation, IDOT, today joined Centerpoint Properties, Will County, and City of Joliet officials to mark the start of construction of the Hobart Road Extension, a public-private partnership that will improve safety and traffic flow along the critical Interstate 80 corridor, while expanding job growth and economic opportunity. The project includes a 1.5-mile extension of Hobart Road, a rebuilt interchange with I-80, and a new bridge connecting to the country's largest inland port. By leveraging an IDOT investment of $32 million to accomplish an overall improvement of nearly $200 million, this project furthers Governor J.B. Pritzker's mission to overhaul one of the state's key travel and freight corridors. Rebuild Illinois is about investing in our future, supporting this generation and the next by making sure we have good jobs and the roads to get there, said Governor J.B. Pritzker. I'm proud that this private-public partnership will further cement our state's leadership as a hub for national and regional travel, all while creating earning opportunities for hardworking residents across Will County. There are specific rights afforded to employees to protect them on the job and to maintain a safe and healthy workplace. To notify workers of those rights, all public sector employers are required to prominently post the Illinois Department of Labor's Job Safety and Health poster. Our primary goal is keeping job sites safe and protecting the health and well-being of working people across the state. Employers must display this poster in a place where workers will see it regularly to ensure this important safety information is available, said Illinois Department of Labor Director Michael Kleineck. Illinois OSHA, a division of the Illinois Department of Labor, covers public sector employees while most private employers fall under federal OSHA jurisdiction. A similar poster must also be available to employees. The poster provides a summary of employees' rights and employers' responsibilities. As the summer heat continues in Illinois, pools are a favorite destination for many to cool off. It's important to follow all posted rules and pay attention to any children when around bodies of water. The number of pools installed in backyards drastically increased the last year due to the pandemic. Installing a pool means adults need to be extra vigilant to protect any children who have access to the water. It is also essential to take the proper steps to keep pools secured and restrict access to prevent injuries and drownings from occurring. There is no single safety device or protective measure that will completely child-proof your pool or spa to prevent every possible accident. To keep the little ones safe, it's important to always supervise children when they are in or around a pool and know where they are at all times. Adults should join youths in the pool or remain at an arm's length away in case they need help, said Illinois State Fire Marshal Matt Perez. According to the American Red Cross, 69% of young children who are found drowned or submerged in swimming pools were not expected to be in or at the pool. On average, 379 fatal child drownings occurred per year between 2015 and 2017. Children younger than 5 years old accounted for 75% of those drownings, 56% of which were attributed to a lapse in adult supervision. Of the reported fatal drowning incidents, 71% occurred in residential locations, such as a child's home, a family or friend's house, or a neighbor's residence, according to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. Despite perceptions of rising crime, theft has become far less common in recent years than it used to be, and property crime rates declined even more sharply during the pandemic. That said, there are still hot spots where break-ins and burglaries are far more common than the typical American neighborhood. While approximately 400 burglaries and 1,700 larceny thefts per 100,000 people annually have been in the nation norm over the past 5 years, there are cities in the United States that report rates double or even triple those numbers. As with anything, an understanding of what burglars are after and where they are active can keep the trend heading lower. Over the last decade, the number of larceny thefts fell nearly 20%, from 6.3 million to 5.1 million, and the number of burglaries were cut in half from 2.2 million to 1.1 million, according to FBI statistics from 2015 to 2019. And it's not a new trend. Since 1993, property crimes declined dramatically, 55% to 71%, depending on which source of stats you look at, Pew Research found. Migrant arrests rose nearly 190,000 in June, the highest in 21 years, despite the Biden administration's insistence that the border surge this year has been a seasonal issue. Customs and Border Protection encountered around 188,000 migrants in June, up from 180,034 in May, bringing the fiscal year total to more than 1.1 million CBP encounters. The number of migrants encountered by law enforcement is the highest since Biden took office in January. CBP cited the large number of repeat encounters during the coronavirus pandemic behind the surge of migrants making multiple border crossing attempts, which means that total encounters somewhat overstate the number of unique individuals arriving at the border. We are in the hottest part of the summer, and we are seeing a high number of distress calls to CBP from migrants abandoned in treacherous terrain by smugglers with no regard for human life, CBP Acting Commissioner Troy Miller said. Although CBP does everything it can to locate and rescue individuals who are lost or distressed, the bottom line is this: the terrain along the border is extreme, the summer heat is severe, and the miles of desert migrants must hike after crossing the border in many areas are unforgiving. Biden made sweeping changes to reform immigration when he took office to undo the policies of former President Donald Trump. He created a task force to reunify migrant children with their families, paused construction of the border wall, and called for reviews of legal immigration programs terminated by his predecessor. But Republicans say the surge is a result of the rollback of those policies, including the migrant protection protocols, which kept migrants in Mexico to await their hearings. Wolf said the situation will get worse if the Biden administration gets rid of Title 42, enacted by the Trump administration for the rapid expulsion of migrants at the border due to the public health protections during the pandemic. It doesn't really matter whether it's this month or early in August. The timing is awful, former acting DHS Secretary Chad Wolf told Fox News last week. We are in the midst of a historic crisis on that border, and instead of trying to implement measures that try to solve that issue, they're doing exactly the opposite. They're not prepared for it. I think they're going to do it because when a borders open agenda, but it's going to be catastrophic. Former acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Director Thomas Homan said, "The numbers I think are going to be very, very high." Thank you for watching our news this week. This is Brigitte. See you next time.
Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Melody, your Health Matters host, and I'm here today at Lifetime Fitness. And with me is a special guest. Her name is Syra, and she is one of the teachers here, doing group fitness class. And I don't know, I just kind of like, can I pull you? Just ask you some of the questions, because I think she was really great. She was awesome. We just came from a spin class, so the way we look is the way we come out of it. We didn't even do anything else extra. So Syra, I wanted to ask you, I'd asked you a little bit earlier about what's it been like, people coming back. What is the vibe? What is the energy? What's the spirit of the people? Are they excited to come back or still hesitant?
The spirit of the people is they are very eager and very excited to get back to moving their bodies and being healthy. I think the entire year of being at home under quarantine has left people very thirsty for movement, and I see a lot of people taking advantage of the time that we have now.
I think it's awesome. And maybe you can tell your televiewers, you've been doing, how long have you been doing fitness, teaching and all that stuff?
About 6 years.
About 6 years. And well, it cannot be coming from me all the time, but I'd like it to come from her. What's the benefits of exercise and just moving?
I truly believe that the best benefit from exercise is the positive impact it has on mental health for all people. The physical part is really secondary. The mental, the release of stress and anxiety through movement is the healthiest way to do it. Instead of taking medication, you just come to the gym and alleviate your stress that way and sleep better that way versus taking pills.
That's right. No, and I agree with you. So how would you suggest to somebody that's just coming back, like with me? I told you, I've been out for so long, and then, stuff happened, and then I'm just, so what do you say? Just how should they, is there like a process? Is there like something that they have to go through, just jumping in, or?
I would say just grow with grace. Start everything one step at a time and layer, grow as you go. Like not everything at once,
Correct.
Just slow and nice and easy back into your routine.
That's right. Yeah. How about nutrition? How important is nutrition? Because sometimes, you hear all these things. I'm going to do intermittent fasting. I'm going to do keto. I'm going to do this. So how does nutrition play a part in working out? Do you have to eat more, eat less? What should it be?
Mindful living, so mindful movement and mindful eating, which is just being aware of moderation. Being able to decipher between your wants and your needs is a huge thing.
Ooh.
Yeah, wants and needs. So what do I need versus what do I want?
Those are two different things.
Saving entertainment, eating for entertainment. We can't constantly be entertaining ourselves with our food, right? I mean, think about it. We don't entertain ourselves constantly with life. Exactly. Where would we go if we were partying all the time?
Exactly.
You've got to actually put in like real work. So similarly, focusing on what you need versus what you want, and using food for sustenance and energy versus pleasure.
Right.
And then you get the pleasure from using food for sustenance.
Correct.
You will get pleasure from that, but not direct pleasure from the taste of the food or the sweetness or the butter.
Because you feel sorry afterwards. It's like, oh my God, why did I eat that?
Well, it can actually make you feel lethargic and
right.
tired.
Yes.
So plant-based lifestyle, plant-based eating gives more energy to people. So,
Lasting energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I really like this. Well, you know what, folks, as I promised you, I always want to bring something new on the table, and I thought bringing Syra here, just giving us, you know, bird's eye view of what it's like to be healthy and fit, and putting it all together with our mental health and emotional health. I think it's such a great deal, especially now. So, Ms. Syra, thank you so much for the time that you've given me, and then I'll see you around.
Thank you, Melody.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.